there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about The Great Hack. The Great Hack is a film that's on Netflix, documentary on Netflix just now, all about Cambridge Analytica, which is the firm that's been accused of all sorts of seedy stuff dealing with Brexit and the US election. So obviously I was curious about all this stuff. I've read up about it before. I thought I'll watch this and see what's going on, what this documentary says. And I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed with the documentary. I thought it was pretty weak. Generally, it was very biased, and even though it was biased towards what my side would probably be, like I'm to the left, but this is biased in a bad way. This is biased in a way it's not in question. It doesn't look into anything in the detail it needs to. It just feels like a very soft, whiny film. Just like it doesn't know the implications of its own arguments. It just is like, I feel this is wrong, so it's wrong, rather than actually look into the reasons of what's going on, what are the problems, what's the solutions. Just doesn't do any of that. That's the major problem. Now, the thing what Cambridge Analytica did was they were basically a marketing firm of data. They got a lot of data, and some of it did not look like it was done in a way that was very good for humanity. But I'll get to that. But basically what they were taking was information and then trying to put send information via Facebook to people on Facebook to try and bias their opinions. Now what they weren't doing to people who were really solid on one side or the other for the Brexit or anything else, or the US elections. It was like targeting where the swing votes were, where the swing voters were, and then target them in the districts that were important to swing it one way or the other. Basically marketing. I mean, this has been going on since any election's ever taken place. This is not new. This is what they do all the time. People go around leafleting, yeah. People come from just popular broadcasts. This has been going on forever. And apparently now it's a problem because the people that won, and so it's an issue because they're flooding the people who are swing voters with information. But that's always happened. That's just life. I mean, they never made the argument of anything that is something that hasn't happened before. And an argument seems to be in this film is that people are too stupid to see they've been manipulated. And that's like, it just doesn't work. It's not an argument, it's just something that's, you voted against the way we wanted you to vote. And even in this case, the people voted for Trump, and I can't stand Trump. And they voted for Brexit, and I didn't vote for Brexit, I voted Remain in Brexit. I mean, they're not voting for things that I think are good for humanity. But these were democratic votes, and this film does not argue in any cohesive way for any nuance to what's going on. It's just like, you're evil, you voted against what I wanted, you're wrong. It just doesn't work. Again, because I studied marketing, I know marketing a little bit. Even though it's my secret shame I don't like marketing, I did study it, and this is what they do all the time in anything. Like any product is out, it's like, okay, where can you distribute it, where can you get it in a shop that will promote it so we can get people to see it, so it's in the proper line when they go in, or it's a proper line in the food stocks or whatever line where this product is sold. It's all about that, getting an eye line and all the rest of it. It's just like, get in front of the eyes to say, would you like this? Getting advertisements would say, would you like this? And then a lot of time, a lot of people aren't interested, they want something else. But some are. It's always manipulation, that's marketing, manipulating people. This is just an extension of that. And both sides do it. The analytics of everything really has been there for a long time. Both sides, I mean, look at Nixon. Nixon was trying to smear his opponents. I mean, both sides have done this. Both sides have had smear campaigns against their opponents. It happens all the time in politics. Politics is dirty. Everyone knows it. In this film, you're thinking that there's going to be massive revelations with something that should not have happened. And it just becomes the usual dirty tricks that you see in most elections, like don't vote. Like there's this whole thing about, I think it was Trinidad they did this subtle thing, Cambridge Analytica, of don't vote to part of the population to make it almost a pride thing of not voting because they've been so corrupt. That's a marketing ploy. And it is scummy, but it's been done before. So the big problem with this is just biased. And the reason why I'm annoyed with this is that I would be annoyed, okay, a lot of the people they're talking to are biased to the left in this film. They're very much the Guardian reporters or someone who's talking about data protection, which is a good subject. This guy seems to have a kind of bias towards. Where's it going? It's not just where's it going, but it's also this thing of there's this sort of projection of I'm doing this for you, I'm great type of thing. There's a reporter that's going along with one of the subjects that he's complaining about other people being biased, but then he seems to try to force subjects to be biased towards what he wants, even though he's saying he's a reporter. There's that throughout the film. You just feel that people are pushing others towards what they want rather than having an actual argument. It just feels like it was just like, I've already made my mind up. We're not going to discuss anything too much detail, we're just going to discuss it to what I want. And that's the problem with the film. It just feels that you're not dealing with people who have a complicated enough view of the subject. And the subject is really complicated because it is about data and mining and where it goes. I mean, this is something that, I mean, the thing they bring up but then they never look into is the fact that the first, like, when it comes to computers and Facebook and things, the first president who really did it was Obama. Obama had a big surge of youth vote in via social media. He was the first social media president. He really engaged with them and got them very out to vote for him. He was the first guy who really knew what he was doing with that stuff. But when the Republicans were completely clueless, they were in the Iraq war mind state. They just weren't focused on that, and Obama was. Obama knew what he was doing. And then, as Obama presidency continued, he had all these abuses that Edward Snowden brought up with your data mining and people was being listening to, which is an expansion of what was being done by George Bush to do the Iraq war, and the whole idea of protecting Americans even if you have to listen in on Americans. This was expanded over Obama, and this whole thing, like, this whole industry is built up during the Obama period, is never brought up beyond Obama was the first social media guy president who did well. And it's like, no, you have to bring this in more, you have to bring in the complications, because as soon as Obama won, the right wing saw that and went, oh, we have to get into this. And then they slowly started to build towards that. I mean, they weren't ready for 2012, but by the time Trump came up, they were much more focused on dealing with social media, because Trump was very much a social media president as well. He knew how to manipulate it. And he could have people to help him manipulate it to get his point of view across. And that's what they were doing, Cambridge Analytica. Now, what they were doing, I think, is wrong and immoral. I don't think people should be barraged with information saying this is racist, or this person is a commie or something, whatever it was. Whatever it was biasing them away from Clinton, saying she was a crook or something. That's wrong. But it's wrong also because they never dealt with this like much earlier. Because this was something that needed legislation like so long ago, which they never did. They just left loopholes that could be exploited. And in the future they'll leave other loopholes. They'll say we're going to close all this stuff up so that people can't exploit us. Well, we better leave stuff open so we can exploit it. Then, you know, the other side will exploit it. It was like, oh wait a minute, we have to close it now, and then something else will open up. And it's always this thing of who can manipulate something until it's closed off by law, and then it's another thing to manipulate. Everything they did, Cambridge Analytica did, was horrible. It really was. But this film didn't go into the details of beyond that's shameful, they shouldn't have done that. Yeah, of course it was bloody shameful. We all know it was shameful. But the thing is, it's been done for years. decades in like Latin America and African countries. CIA have been doing this forever. Everyone knows it. I mean, everyone. And it's done to America now. It's the Russians' fault. Oh, it's this fault. It's that fault. And they're really annoyed, but they've just noticed it's been happening there as well. Because it's been happening there for decades. There's always this thing about, oh, can we ever have a fair election again? It's like, you never had one before. This has been going for decades. You just haven't noticed it, or you're too dumb to notice it. It's just like, it's always happened. Every like swing state is blocked out as something important that people are getting barraged with stuff to get their vote. That's politics. But now in this film, what is basic politics is viewed as something that's illegal. And it's pretty scummy what they did. I mean, what they did was really scummy. But it should never be surprising. And it was left to happen because Obama already exploited it for his side, and no one wants to close it off. And now they're thinking maybe we should close it off. And it's like, yeah, but how do we manipulate social media for our own gain? And no one's even pointed to the fact that the reason Trump won was because they put Clinton against him, and she was awful. She was just a terrible candidate. This never comes up, and it's like that's the important thing. It would never have got to those swing states being that important if they had a good candidate, and they never bring that up. So of course Trump manipulated stuff, because that's what anyone does, and Clinton did the same thing. She did her own manipulation, obviously, as a politician. It might be different from what that was, but there's a good chance she was behind the times in knowing how to deal with that, because she seemed pretty close with technology. But that's the way politics works. That's just the way it works. And I'm pretty annoyed that the Democrats were too dumb to realise what was going on after they'd already used it properly. So that's the problem with this film. It just doesn't get that it has to have a complicated view of this subject. It can't just be my feels. It just can't be, oh, this is horrible, why did this happen to us? Why did Trump get in? Why did Brexit happen? The Brexit thing as well, it was like going to be a big revelation about Brexit in this documentary. They weren't. They just weren't. Yeah, people voted against what you wanted. Sure. I'm sure they get barraged with stuff. But I was hearing Brexit, and basically both sides were bloody useless. Like, both sides, no matter what you're barraged with in Brexit, neither side doing a good argument. Neither of them. Really, no one made a good argument. And frankly, I cannot stand Farage or Johnson or anything else. They were garbage. The other side were even worse. The reason Brexit happened is people wanted Brexit. That's it. You can't say other people were stupid, too stupid to know what they were voting for. They weren't. They wanted Brexit. That's it. That's what they wanted. Just live with it. You can't just keep on doing all these conspiracy theories to say, oh, we have to do a new vote because there was this little thing or that little thing. Of course there was. Who's investigating what the Remainers did? No one. And I'm sure they did scummy stuff too. You know, obviously did. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But that's the problem with this documentary. It doesn't take into various sides. Now, I would not want a bias for the right wing either, because I can't stand a lot of them. But when you're biased towards the left wing, it feels wrong. It just feels like I'm not getting a full balanced point of view of this subject. I'm just getting a kind of, everything's been squeezed into this one side, and you can start to see contradictions and weirdnesses that are in it that haven't been addressed, that you feel are really important, that aren't really brought up. And that's kind of the annoying thing about this documentary. I know there's more to this than you're letting on in this documentary. Even though I agree with you generally, I think that there has to be more investigation into how social media is used. I think there needs to be some regulation to protect people from getting all this garbage thrown at them. It's out of control completely. No one's dealt with it. It should have been dealt with years ago. No one's dealt with what the actual rules for online social media dealings when it comes to elections. That should have been dealt with like a decade ago, and it hasn't been. And that's the government's fault. That really is the government's fault. And it's the Tories basically, because they have not dealt with it, and they were in charge for the last decade pretty much. You know, it's like in America, a lot of it was Obama's fault because he didn't deal with it when he was in power, and everyone was coming up when he was in power. He should have dealt with that. He never. It allowed the loopholes that Trump took advantage of. That's what it was. But no one ever brings that stuff up. So this documentary, just every time you ever watch it, if someone brought up, you wish you had more talking heads, more people with different points of view bringing it up that would give you a nuance that you really are looking for. Because we already know that the people who did this were scumbags. That's just there. Everyone knows they got caught. I mean, there's no defence of them. But you need something more critical and more nuanced, and as you investigate them, this film does not have. That's a problem. Because this subject needs real investigation. It needs a real documentary, not this. It needs a real documentary. People on both sides of the political aisle talking about the problems. You just have to do that. This is garbage. This is a waste of time. Because it's just giving you stuff you've seen in the paper and it doesn't give you anything else. And the whole find out thing, am I in the 60s again? I wasn't even born then. But you know what I mean? It's like, feels like stuff you've seen before a million times, and it's just like, yeah, that happens all the time. What do you expect? There should be laws against it, but they don't want to put laws against it because they're corrupt. The politicians are corrupt. What a shock, eh? And the problem with this as well is the whistleblowers are very compromised in this film, but they keep trying to make them sympathetic, even though you know that they did stuff that was bad, and there's neither of them look exactly come out smelling the roses in this one. I mean, both of them did bad things for money, helped compromise things, should have been aware way early on that there was serious moral issues going on, but they took the money. And one of them, the guy with the pink hair or whatever, he just comes across as smug and annoying most of the film. I wouldn't trust anything he says, even though he's the most damning of them to start with. I really wouldn't trust him because he just exudes someone who's out for revenge for something. I don't know what it was, but there's even inconsistency they bring up even in this documentary about what he said. Another one, the woman, she comes forward and actually starts to give testimony about all the illegal stuff they did. But hers even worse because she was much higher up, and it's like, how did you not just figure out this was wrong? Really, there's no justification for this, and the documentary wants to leave everyone off the hook that agrees with them politically, and you can't do that. And even if they're saying we're questioning them, they're not questioning them that hard. They're saying, oh, they were in difficult situations, but they're trying better now, and it's like, that's not satisfying. That's really not satisfying. Crime is crime. So the whole documentary is just a mess when it should have been. I was really looking forward to this documentary. I was really looking forward to seeing if they could actually do something interesting with this very important subject, and this wasn't it. I'm like hoping that someone else does a documentary in this and does it right, because it needs a good documentary to be clear of what happened. This doesn't feel like it. This feels like a biased piece of garbage that doesn't understand where it needs to go to make arguments clear. It just doesn't get it. It's so partisan that it's unsatisfying, even if you're on the side of the people who are making a documentary. It's so biased that it's like, I need more than this. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it didn't come across too much of a rant, but this got under my skin in a bad way, because I just like to have documentaries to have information that in an opposing point of view, so you can make your mind up. I just don't like this. We're right, and just accept everything we say, and don't think about the things we didn't really put in and all the obvious stuff we left out because we didn't really want to talk about it. That's a problem. Well, I'll be back soon with another video. Okay, I hope to see you then.